Have you ever felt different, unable to explain why? Deep within, something keeps you from resting comfortably within the ordinary molds of life. You experience everything more intensely, more profoundly, and sometimes more painfully than those around you. Carl Jung referred to this as the call of the soul, a silent invitation from the deepest part of your being, where forgotten fragments and ancient symbols seek to return to consciousness. Some people in this world are not here to blend in, but to reflect what the world has forgotten: compassion, depth, and a sense of the sacred amid the mundane. They carry a quiet yet powerful energy field that stirs something in others, something they cannot quite put their finger on. But carrying a rare energy is not a crown, it is a sacred burden. Because you don't just feel, you bear the weight of emotions others refuse to face. And you don't just live, you experience every moment as a symbol waiting to be deciphered. If these words startle you, this video hasn't found you by chance. It is a profound mirror, reflecting not your image, but the unnamed layers of your soul. In this video, we will explore 6 subtle yet powerful signs that you carry a rare energy field, a type of soul that Jung believed was born to awaken, not to conform. And we won't stop at recognition. Stay until the end, and you'll understand why you felt out of place among what seems normal. And most importantly, how you can keep the inner flame alive in alignment with its sacred essence. Number 1, you feel too much, and it exhausts you. You walk through bustling crowds on the street, but within you, every step echoes strangely, not just from the shoes you wear, but from the unspoken sorrows of others. A fleeting glance, a faint ray of sunlight on water, or a burst of inexplicable laughter, all become landscapes of your inner world, stirring your heart for reasons you can't fully grasp. If you're reading this, you've likely said to yourself, "I'm too sensitive." In Jung's psychology, this is called the perception of the collective unconscious. It's not just a personal call, but an echo of the history of countless souls before you. Rejected pain, unclaimed memories, unnamed desires. When you step into a crowd, you don't just hear voices, you sense the cracks in the souls around you. When you see someone cry silently, you don't just see tears, you feel the storm raging in their chest. Others may pass by unnoticed. You live their story as if it were your own. You are not alone. Psychologist Elaine Aron, a pioneer in studying highly sensitive persons, HSPs, noted that about 15 to 20% of the population has a more sensitive nervous system than average. These individuals process emotional information more deeply, are easily overwhelmed by environmental stimuli, and are often misunderstood as too sensitive, fragile, or dramatic. In reality, this is a unique neurological structure, not a psychological weakness. Elaine Aron describes HSPs as having a finer filter for all experiences, from sounds and light to others' emotions. This explains why your emotions don't just simmer, they resonate in the air, sometimes urging you to retreat and lock your heart to avoid being swept away in a world that often remains silent. This is not your fault. Jung once said, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." You are the first to open the door of emotions for the world to enter, yet the last to be understood. Sometimes you wonder why you can't control it, but for Jung, this isn't an inherent weakness, it's an overflow of fullness. Crossing the desert of ordinary culture, you find no place to rest your weary feet. Every emotion, even those of others, becomes quicksand pulling you down. Every tear, every note of sadness, every crack in someone else's story floods into you like a gentle stream or a raging torrent across your chest. It's not that you don't want to be steady. The overload makes you falter. Jung called this polarity of being. Sensitivity evolved to the point of becoming a reflective system, where emotional fragments are retained rather than naturally released. This doesn't just happen in your personal life. In today's society, you see it in those in service, healthcare, or education roles, demanding constant emotional engagement without mechanisms for mental release. A nurse stays calm while a patient writhes in agony. A teacher smiles daily despite carrying private sorrow. A customer service worker hears hundreds of complaints daily, but cannot complain in return. They become containers for emotions, bearing not just their work, but the unconscious outpouring of others. Without a way to release the valve, they are the first to collapse silently. The same goes for you. You don't know how to cut the connection. Your first task each morning isn't waking yourself, but facing an ocean of emotions that surged overnight. You fall asleep to unplug your heart's battery. You wake, and the turbidity and anxiety of others' souls have already seeped in. You think you're overthinking, but you're feeling deeper than others, and this isn't just a personal gift. You may not say it, but your body does. Stomach aches, headaches, invisible exhaustion, the inability to breathe in crowded spaces. It's not others invading you. It's you taking in too much without a way to express it, like a root delving deep into the earth of global emotions, unable to separate itself to nurture its essence. So, what's the solution? No, this isn't a call to normalize or toughen up. Jung didn't advocate for coldness, but for making the darkness conscious, turning the river of emotions into a source of light, not something that drags you under. When you discern what's yours and what's from the collective unconscious, you begin to draw a subtle line between empathy and self-protection. You choose when to resonate and measure how much to avoid drowning. Your sensitivity is a gift of the soul. You don't need to diminish it, but you must learn to let it flow like a river, not spill over and exhaust you. You need an inner, sacred space to recharge your inner wisdom amid the waves of emotion. Feeling too much isn't an unsolvable burden. It's a trace of living deeply, a rare instinct the modern world often forgets. And you'll realize a unique power operates quietly within you, once misunderstood, now shining like an inner compass. That power is your sensitivity. Number 2, you've been called too sensitive, but deep down, you know it's a gift. Your refined sensitivity, often labeled weakness by society, is, in truth, a gift. Feeling deeply isn't enough to stand between the unconscious and consciousness. You must recognize the hidden value in your way of listening and seeing. You're familiar with the gentle yet wary looks from others. You're so sensitive, they say when you fall silent at a party, your eyes retreating to a quiet space, hearing the subtle sadness in the background music. To others, it's just a pause. To you, it's a sacred space where the soul reveals itself. Others see you as a fragile creature, but in Jung's eyes, you're a light in an ocean of isolation, a small opening for the soul to peer through the material world. Jung introduced the concept of anima, animus, the feminine archetype in men and vice versa, representing emotional depth and intuition within. Similarly, your sensitivity is a mirror reflecting the unconscious. Not just feeling, but forging connections between personal perception and the silent soul space in others. When you cry hearing someone's memory, you're bridging their emotions to flow freely. This isn't mere empathy, it's the language of the soul. For example, standing in a crowded airport, you might catch the wistful gaze of a stranger leaving their homeland and feel a silent ache in your chest. Others rush by, you pause, as if you've activated a chain of unconscious memories from your heart. You stand in an invisible rain with no one to hold an umbrella, alone in a storm of emotions. But this isn't weakness. It's the soul's delicate receiver and transmitter, untamed by reason. If you've ever been caught in such rain, frozen by what others overlook, share a moment like that in the comments. We and those watching this video are ready to listen. This ability brings a burden when undirected, but when guided, it's a light for your inner journey. Jung likened sensitivity to a light tearing through darkness, a magic that lets you not only feel, but see the importance of buried emotions. Where others see only shadows, you're a lamp illuminating the depths of their souls. People often call you complicated because you ask questions too deeply. You hear a song and your heart fills with untold stories. You wonder, how can anything be normal when every breath is a fragment of memory? For Jung, this isn't a crack in the soul but a channel for creative energy. No example shows this better than an artist who stays up all night painting a nostalgic gaze. If you've ever written a sentence, a poem, or sat quietly listening to the wind slipping through a golden lantern outside your window, you're a decoder of the unconscious. Those around you may pass by, but you pause because you're the conductor of notes yet to sound. Your sensitivity makes you vulnerable, but it's also the only thing letting you see what others haven't learned to feel. And sensitivity doesn't develop on its own. It's tied to individuation, the journey where you learn to turn what's unique into profound understanding, not a burden. Now you can realize your mission isn't to bow to the label of too sensitive, but to bring your refined perspective to a world lacking sensitivity. To make this gift, you must work within yourself to be strong enough to embrace powerful vibrations and discerning enough to separate your emotions from the echoes of the collective unconscious. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a unique light in the darkness, one only you can sustain if you learn to keep its flame steady. It's your weapon and lever to step into the depths of the soul and share it fully with the world. Number 3, you mysteriously attract others, but often feel lonely. If you've ever felt too much or been labeled too sensitive, you're likely familiar with this sensation. You walk into a room, and for reasons you can't explain, eyes seem drawn to you. Not because you're loud or seeking attention, but because something within you compels others to approach. A quiet, yet magnetic energy, like a low-pressure system, draws people to pour out their hearts to you, secrets they wouldn't share with anyone else. You're not just someone others trust. You're someone who makes others unconsciously want to shed their masks. Countless times, someone you've just met for a few minutes has shared a childhood wound, a broken relationship, or a hollow emptiness they've never put into words. They say, "I don't know why I'm telling you all this," and you smile, unsurprised, sighing inwardly because you're used to it. According to Jung, This is no coincidence. In analytical psychology, those with this energy structure often become mirrors, reflecting the unacknowledged shadows of others. You don't attract in the way people think. You shine with an inner realm others have long closed off. And so, they come to you. But this very gift makes you lonely. You're the one others confide in, but you're rarely given the same in return. You hold space for deep conversations, but few hold you when you sink into silence. You're a pillar of emotional support, but when you waver, others don't know what to do except wait for you to stabilize as usual. Loneliness doesn't come from a lack of people around you. It comes from no one truly seeing your depths. You've sat among close friends, laughing and sharing stories, yet felt like a stranger. Not because you didn't try to connect, but because you live in a different layer of consciousness, one that craves silent dialogue to hear the unspoken, while the world is too hurried to listen to anything too deep. Jung once wrote, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." That is your loneliness, the solitude of a complex soul in a world that simplifies emotions. There's a phenomenon in analytical psychology called projective identification. When someone can't face their own emotions, they unconsciously send them to another. They send you their fear, sadness, or emptiness, then walk away lighter. And you? You go home with a heart heavy as stone, unsure why you're so exhausted. You might be the one colleagues text at midnight to vent their stress, or the friend someone calls after years to share news of a divorce. You listen to their shadows but are rarely asked, "What about you? Are you okay?" When you admit you're tired or sad, people are shocked. What? You feel like that too? Because you understand and feel so much, others assume you don't need to be understood. You're someone everyone cherishes, but few know how to care for you properly. Not because you lack anything, but because your energy makes others see themselves, and not everyone is brave enough to face their reflection. So they come and go, seeking you for healing, but disappearing when you need support. Carl Jung spoke of the healer archetype, noting that healers often carry a profound wound, and from that wound, they learn to see pain in others. You are such a person. The paradox is that your loneliness is the price of touching others' souls with authenticity. But don't mistake this. Loneliness is not a sentence. It's the natural response of a soul vibrating at a different frequency. A rare instrument doesn't easily harmonize with an ordinary orchestra. That doesn't diminish its value. It just needs the right player to touch it with heart. And so it is with you. You don't need a crowd of friends by your side. You need someone awake enough not to fear your depth, subtle enough not to panic when you're pensive, and patient enough not to leave when you need time to open up. Above all, before finding anyone else, you need yourself, strong enough not to dissolve under others' gazes. Before moving on, take a quiet moment. Breathe slowly. If these words resonate, if you see yourself in these lines, hit the like button to let us know you're there. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this journey of exploring the profound self that not everyone dares to tread. Because one day, what you're feeling might be the light guiding someone else. Jung called this the withdrawal of projections, reclaiming the parts of yourself you've unconsciously let others define. You stop waiting for someone to understand you like a miracle and begin embracing your depth as a living reality, even if unseen by others. Thus, Jung warned that loneliness, if not understood and transformed, can become a gateway to repetitive behaviors, invisible addictions, and a sense of being lost within your soul. Number 4. You've silently battled invisible addictions or extreme emotions. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't speak. It doesn't cry or complain. It lies there, quiet, steady, and hungry. When no one truly reaches you, when connections skim the surface, you start seeking elsewhere, not to live, but to numb. The addiction isn't always to substances, but to filling an unnamed void you've carried too long. If you recognize yourself as the one who attracts, yet feels lonely, this is the consequence. Where no one embraces you, you begin embracing something else, even if it's harmful, to fill the gap, because you've endured too much for too long. Carl Jung wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, "Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism. Addiction isn't always alcohol, drugs, or sex. Sometimes it's an addiction to control, worry, validation, the need to feel needed, or worse, an addiction to your sadness." Have you ever felt caught in a loop? Each night before bed, you scroll your phone mindlessly, not for anything new, but because you don't know what to do with the void before sleep, where unresolved emotions flood in. Perhaps you eat without hunger, check messages when no one's texted, or bury yourself in work until exhaustion, just to avoid sitting with yourself. These are invisible addictions. No one sees, no one judges, but they gnaw at you daily. In analytical psychology, Jung viewed addictive behaviors as unconscious rituals, substituting for a lost spiritual journey. When the soul is hungry but lacks the language to ask for nourishment, it consumes anything: information, dopamine, praise, thrills. But meaningless food doesn't feed the soul. It only fills the space temporarily, leaving you hungrier. Think of Whitney Houston, the legendary voice, the first black woman to top the Billboard charts, an icon of strength, beauty, and resilience. On stage, she shone like a goddess, but behind the lights, when the applause faded, she battled years of addiction, alcohol, drugs, and unspoken pain, never given a name. No one saw it clearly at first. She still performed, still radiated passion, still stood tall under millions of gazes. But in an interview, she once said, "The biggest devil is me. I'm either my best friend or my worst enemy." This wasn't the confession of a weak person. It was the voice of a fractured soul, not allowed to be tired, not allowed to be not okay, and thus seeking a place, any place, to fall without judgment. Through Jung's lens, Whitney wasn't just addicted to alcohol. She was addicted to escaping the role of pop queen, to return to the shadow self no one accepted. She wasn't trying to destroy herself. She was trying to survive in a world that only loved her strong, beautiful, perfect version. Addiction isn't a fall. It's the silent scream of a forgotten soul. What about you? Have you ever felt a strange craving, not for what you're addicted to, but for the fleeting sense of escape? If so, don't ignore those signs. Invisible addictions are often emergency flights from a soul starved too long. And when you wake, you're exhausted, paralyzed, and blaming yourself. Why did I do that? You swear you won't repeat it. But the next night, you do. Not because you lack willpower, but because willpower isn't enough when the soul is suffocated. Jung saw this. He believed addiction is a symptom of an inner call unheard. The key isn't in eliminating bad behavior, but in understanding what within you is so hungry it bites itself. If you're perceptive, you'll notice a pattern. You stress. You escape emotions with soothing behaviors. You feel guilty and vow not to repeat. Then stress returns, and the loop begins again. This is what Jung called the compulsion to repeat, an unconscious attempt for the soul to be heard, even in distorted language. Jung wrote, "We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. You can't heal addiction by hating it. You can only start by listening without judgment. Ask yourself, when did my addiction begin? What was I missing then? What pain am I trying to escape? If instead of suppressing it, I sit with it, what might happen? It won't be comfortable, but it's the first step in the individuation journey Jung spoke of. Daring to look at the darkness without flinching, naming the addiction as a rejected wound, not an enemy. If you're brave enough to sit, write, and fully feel what you've always avoided, you'll see, behind every addiction is an authentic part of your being, waiting to be named. And then you'll understand, addiction isn't the end. It's a map pointing to where you lost yourself. And the journey back begins with loving presence. Number 5. You always feel something waiting to be discovered within you. If addiction is the stifled cry of a forgotten soul, then the longing to uncover something within is a patient whisper. It's always there, like an unnamed underground stream, flowing beneath the surface of the life you live. Have you ever felt it? A vague yet vivid sense that something within you remains unrevealed, not clear, not specific, not tied to a goal or societal role. Just a quiet call, a feeling that, no matter how successful you are, how busy or who you love, a part of you has never been touched. Carl Jung called this the call of individuation, the journey to return to your truest self, stripped of societal molds, collective beliefs, and the false ego. Not everyone hears this call, and even fewer dare to follow it, because this path doesn't lead outward to the world but inward, where you must dismantle every role to face what you've always avoided, the truth. This isn't an isolated experience. More and more young people in big cities are falling into mental exhaustion, despite having everything: stable jobs, good incomes, seemingly fulfilling relationships. But behind that stability lies emptiness. Recent studies show soaring rates of depression and inner disorientation among office workers. Alongside this is the phenomenon of quiet quitting, people who keep working but emotionally withdraw from their jobs. They don't quit outright. They rest their souls because their work no longer feels meaningful to their inner depths. This reveals that the questions, "Who am I?" and "What am I living for?" are no longer mere philosophical musings. They're becoming a societal issue, a reflection of a collective spiritual hunger in a world overly focused on performance and appearances, yet lacking space for the soul to speak. Sometimes these questions don't arise in self-help courses. They come when you look in the mirror and aren't sure who you are. They come when a strange song makes you cry, not for a specific memory, but because it touches an unexplored terrain in your soul. They come when you see someone living authentically, and a gentle envy stirs in your heart. This isn't disorientation, it's a reminder that you're still alive, and the deepest part of you hasn't surrendered. Jung said that within each person lies a self, a whole, authentic being waiting to awaken. We're not born to become someone else, but to return to ourselves. Yet society doesn't teach this. It teaches you how to excel, be loved, make money, seem okay, but rarely how to listen to your soul. You could live your whole life in a perfect role without ever stepping onto the main stage where your true self awaits its line. You might recall Elsa from Frozen, a modern symbol of individuation. She lived with a hidden, suppressed power, taught to control it, to never let it show. But the more she conformed, the more she suffered. Only when she left the safety of her kingdom, stepping into the wild, icy unknown, where no one dictated who she must be, did Elsa begin to discover her true self. And, remarkably, the power once deemed dangerous became the force that healed both her and her kingdom. Jung would call Elsa a perfect illustration of the archetype of the self, where all the fragmented pieces within you seek to unite into a profound, honest whole, unforced. You may not have powers like Elsa, but you have untapped inner energy. It's not in degrees or accolades, but in the part of you that feels out of place in the life you're living. And so, you begin to search. Not by abandoning everything to move to a new city, but by turning inward and questioning the layers cloaking you. Do I truly believe in what I'm doing? Am I living the life I chose? Am I being honest with my sadness, my joy, my quiet dreams? Discovering yourself isn't an easy journey. It's like entering a forest without a map. But the deeper you go, the more you find. The trees know your name. The forest wind knows your wounds. And there's a small, peaceful path leading to a home you'd long forgotten. The home within yourself. Jung believed that only by accepting this invitation do you enter true maturity. No longer living for others' gazes, you bring your soul's essence into the world authentically. If you've ever felt something within you that hasn't yet awakened, don't rush to fill that void with success, love, or work. Hold it as it is. Let that emptiness be a silent room for your soul to step forward and speak. Number 6. You can transform darkness into awareness, but it comes at a cost. Because once you embark on the journey to uncover your true self, you don't just find light. You begin to see the darkness. Not the frightening shadows out there, but the unloved pieces within you. Carl Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain," and he knew every profound realization has a price. The cost of daring to see the parts you've denied. The cost of letting go of safe roles. The cost of becoming real instead of merely likable. You who have felt too much, been misunderstood for your sensitivity, felt lonely in connection, faced shadowy impulses, and yearned to find yourself, you don't just live, you transform. You're the kind of person who can stand amid chaos and discern its signs. Others see disorder, you see a system within it. Others flee from suffering, you ask, what is this pain trying to say? This is what sets you apart. But it also costs you the peace others easily find. You can't unknow once you've seen. When a piece of darkness is illuminated, you can't return to living as before. It's like discovering a secret door in the house you've always lived in. You can ignore it, but it's still there. It will haunt your sleep, echo in the silence, reminding you it's time to step through. Jung called this the shadow integration, bringing the rejected parts back into your psychological system. no longer imprisoned in the unconscious, no longer controlling you from behind the curtain. But it's not easy work. It doesn't happen in a single meditation course or quick therapy session. It unfolds in silent struggles when you stand at the crossroads. Live your truth or keep playing the likable role. You've been angry without knowing why. You felt envy, self-destruction, or wrestled with conflicting emotions. You've asked, am I a good person or a bad one? But that's not the right question. Jung would say, you're neither one nor the other. You're both. And only by embracing both do you become yourself. Transforming darkness into awareness is a sacred ability, but also a burden. Because once you see the psychological mechanisms in every interaction, you can't live carefree anymore. You see hidden motives in others' words. You feel the wounds behind manipulative behaviors. You hear fear in loud laughter. And you must choose. Stay silent or confront. Jung called this the clear distinction between what belongs to the unconscious and what you've brought into the light. Each time you do this, you step closer to inner freedom. But you also part ways with the comfortable truths others still cling to. You no longer fully belong to the crowd, because you no longer fit their collective illusions. You see what's real, and the real is often hard to digest. The sad truth is, many on this journey grow weary. Some days, you wish you didn't know so much, didn't see through things, didn't analyze, didn't feel so deeply. But you know, denying this would hurt more than the loneliness. This is where Jung becomes essential. He never told you to turn away from the darkness. Instead, he taught, bring it back, but don't let it swallow you. Let it fuel your transformation. Don't reject it. Integrate it. Because there's power in the darkness. In anger, there are boundaries. In envy, a desire for recognition. In fear, a message of love. When you're brave enough to look at these, without rejection or judgment, you become someone no longer controlled by them. You may have paid a price. Perhaps you've lost relationships, opportunities, or an old sense of safety. But you're becoming more authentic than ever. And that, for Jung, is the ultimate goal of life. You're not alone in this journey. Many before you have chosen to pay the price to live true to their essence. Take Rick Rubin, the legendary music producer behind the success of artists like Adele and Jay-Z. At the peak of his career, he chose to leave the high-pressure, noisy music industry, retreating to a farm in Malibu to meditate daily and work only when deeply connected. He once said, I don't make music to create successful people. I make music to touch something deeper in humanity. His retreat wasn't an escape, but a conscious choice to live authentically, unbound by external expectations. If you've ever paid a price to live true, if you've quietly chosen truth over comfort, leave a comment. A small sign, a symbol, could affirm you're braver than you think. Finally, I want you to understand, your sensitivity, depth, silent addictions, chronic loneliness, and wordless vibrations are not random. They're living symbols your being sends, like ancient letters sealed in red wax. And you, reading this, may be the one chosen to open them, to read them with your heart, not your mind. Carl Jung once said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. And now, perhaps you're starting to see a bit clearer that the things that once caused you pain are in fact a map. A map leading back to where you lost yourself. So, if you see yourself in this journey, keep walking, even without results yet. Because at the end of the path, no material reward awaits. There's only one thing: you, whole, honest, and awakened, stepping out from your own shadow. There are women who seem to do nothing special, yet their mere presence is enough to make everything around them shift. You cannot explain why your eyes want to follow them, why your heart suddenly feels lighter, safer when they appear. This is not the result of elaborate clothing or clever words, but the strength radiating from within, a source of energy that naturally draws others closer. Carl Jung once believed that the greatest magnetism of a person does not lie in what they strive to display outwardly, but in the inner state that has been transformed. And for women, when feminine energy reaches maturity, it becomes a natural, magnetic field, gentle yet powerful, quiet yet impossible to ignore. In today's video, we will explore the hidden yet unmistakable signs of strong feminine energy. These are not tricks or techniques to impress, but a journey back to the true self, from which you shine in a way no one can replicate. If you have ever longed to become a woman who is both serene and magnetic, who does not compete yet makes the world bow, then join us until the end of this journey. Number 1. Inner peace. Unshaken within, even when the outside is chaotic. Have you ever noticed, in the same chaotic situation, some people immediately lose composure, react loudly, while others sit there, eyes calm, voice steady, as if nothing can disturb them? The difference does not lie in circumstances, but in the inner state. And this is one of the clearest hidden signs of strong feminine energy. Inner peace. Peace is not about avoiding conflict or pretending indifference. Peace is the ability to fully feel what is happening, to face storms without being swept away. It is not a mask on the outside, but strength radiating from the depth of the soul. Carl Jung once pointed out that the self, the central regulator of the psyche, is where opposites are reconciled within us. When a woman begins to touch the self, she is no longer easily intoxicated by praise or destroyed by criticism. Peace becomes her natural state, no strain, no pretense. Inner peace is like a deep lake. When the wind blows, waves ripple on the surface, but if the lake is deep enough, the ripples stop at the top, while the bottom remains still. A woman with strong feminine energy is like that. On the outside, she may smile at praise or sink a little at criticism, but deep down, she knows who she is. It is this depth that prevents her from shattering at passing winds. Interestingly, peace often arouses curiosity in others. They do not understand why you don't react as intensely as everyone else, why you don't let chaos drag you along. And it is precisely this differentness that becomes the strongest magnet. Peace is not passivity, but a form of silent power. It is like a candle in a dark room, not dancing, not making sound, yet everyone is drawn to it. I once witnessed a very special moment on a crowded train. That day, a quarrel broke out between two passengers. Shouts and curses filled the carriage with tension. Everyone looked on. Some even wanted to interfere. But in one corner sat an elderly woman. She did not intervene, did not try to stop it, just sat quietly, face serene, hands resting gently on her lap. Strangely, a few people near her gradually lowered their voices, then fell silent. No one could explain why, but the calm radiating from her was like a current that eased the suffocating air. When the train doors opened, the tension dissolved. I realized sometimes the greatest power does not come from action, but from the peace radiating in silence. Inner peace also creates a special allure, an attraction that does not come from outward noise, but from quiet certainty. For men, this is even more striking. Have you ever seen a woman who is not dressed up, who does not speak much? Yet when she sits there, the man beside her slows down, even feels bewildered by the sense of safety surrounding him. It is this peace that makes men want to stay closer, to protect more, as if her presence has opened a safe sky for him. This is the matured feminine energy, strong yet gentle, silent yet powerful enough to stir a man's heart. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." When a woman finds peace within herself, she no longer depends on anyone else's validation, nor fears loss. Peace becomes a frequency that anyone near her can feel, like an invisible yet immensely powerful field of energy. The important thing is, peace is not innate, but cultivated daily. When criticized, instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath to let emotions pass before responding. When chaos comes, ask yourself, does this really touch the essence of who I am? When feeling insecure, write down the things that scare you. Simply naming fear already robs it of half its power. Small habits like these help you deepen your inner world, and little by little, you become the woman who brings peace to others simply by being seen. And you will realize, the less you let the outside world control your emotions, the clearer you hear the inner voice, the gentle yet powerful voice that guides you through storms without losing yourself. Inner peace is the foundation of strong feminine energy. It does not make you passive, but turns you into a solid pillar, so that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you remain unshaken. And from this foundation, another door will open. Intuition, the ability to see the hidden and sense what is coming. If you have ever experienced a moment where inner peace helped you stand firm, or if you have met a woman whose calm made you feel safer, share your story in the comments. Perhaps your experience will become the gentle breeze that helps someone else find stillness in their own heart. Number 2, authenticity, no longer living with the persona, the social mask. When a woman has found peace within, she no longer needs to strain to uphold a false image. And from that state, another hidden sign begins to appear, authenticity, when she dares to remove the social mask and show up as her true self. Have you ever felt exhausted from having to perform? Each day, you play different roles. At work, you must be professional and decisive. In the family, you must be the dutiful daughter, the devoted mother. In love, you must become the gentle, pleasing woman to be loved. These roles are not entirely false, but if you live in them too long, you gradually forget who you really are. And then, one day, you look in the mirror and no longer recognize the face behind all those masks. Carl Jung called this mask the persona, a part of the psyche we put on to fit social expectations. He did not deny the necessity of the persona, for it helps us adapt. But Jung warned that when people completely identify with the persona, they lose authenticity. A woman with strong feminine energy is the one who dares to let go of these masks, to live true to herself, no longer acting to be accepted. Authenticity does not mean being careless or rude. It is simply the ability to live in alignment with your real feelings and values, instead of bending yourself to please others. An authentic woman can say no when she doesn't want to, can remain silent when she has nothing to share, can smile when she truly feels joy, instead of forcing a social smile. This clarity becomes a unique magnet, because it is rare in a world full of pretense. I once attended a crowded dinner party where everyone was laughing and talking. In that space, there was a woman who chose to sit quietly in a corner. When someone asked why she wasn't joining in, she just smiled and said, "Tonight doesn't feel right for me, so I want to sit quietly." That answer did not isolate her. On the contrary, many people approached her, sensing her sincerity and steady energy. Especially men, they were drawn not because she tried to impress, but because her authentic presence made them trust and want to be near. This is something men rarely say out loud, but always feel. Authenticity makes them feel peace and respect. Living authentically is an important step in the journey of individuation, the process Jung called becoming oneself. When still bound by the persona, you're like an actor on stage, always memorizing lines, always keeping appearances. But when you remove the mask, you can finally breathe freely, live as a whole human being. And at that moment, feminine energy begins to ripen, no longer drained by pretense, but radiating a natural strength. An untouched forest does not need decoration or arrangement, yet its wild beauty leaves people in awe. The authenticity of a woman is the same. She does not need to try to impress, but it is precisely this simplicity, this lack of embellishment, that makes her radiant. In love, men may be fascinated by charm or wit, but what binds them long-term is authenticity, because they know that with such a woman, they do not have to live in a play. Here is an interesting truth. Men are very sensitive to authenticity. They may not express it in words, but they sense when a woman says something not from her heart. Conversely, they are touched when they see a real tear, a real laugh, or simply hear the words, "I'm not okay today," instead of a fake smile. These authentic moments are the ones men remember because they awaken the true human within themselves. Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." The authentic woman is the living embodiment of that privilege. She does not run from her vulnerability, nor display false strength, but dares to stand in life as a unique being. And it is this authenticity that creates the magnetism of strong feminine energy, not easily copied, not easily replaced. However, living authentically requires great courage. For when you remove the mask, not everyone will like you anymore. You will face judgmental looks, comments, but in return, you will attract those who truly belong to you, the ones who stay because you are you. And that is the foundation of a sustainable life, not built on illusions. Authenticity also brings immense liberation. When you no longer strain to uphold an image, you no longer fear the day the mask falls off. You know that those who choose to stay are there because they love your true self, not a role. This freedom makes your energy clearer and more magnetic than ever. If inner peace is the foundation, then authenticity is the door to freedom. When you dare to live authentically, you also begin to set boundaries for yourself, daring to say yes and no without guilt. And that will be the next sign of strong feminine energy we will explore together. Number 3. Clear boundaries, knowing how to say yes and no without guilt. Strong feminine energy never means unconditional sacrifice, but the ability to know where she begins and where others end, what should be welcomed and what must be closed. Perhaps you have fallen into this feeling. When someone asks for help, you don't want to, yet you reluctantly say, "Sure." When your partner asks for something beyond your limits, you still reluctantly accept to keep the peace. At that moment, you say yes, but inside you are choking on no. And then afterward, you feel exhausted, resenting others for overstepping, and angry at yourself for not having the courage to protect yourself. This is exactly what Carl Jung once pointed out. If we do not face and accept the shadow, the dark part that contains repressed emotions such as anger, fear, and personal needs, we will continue to lose our boundaries, and our energy will be consumed. A woman with strong feminine energy is not someone who always pleases, but someone who dares to say yes when her heart agrees, and dares to say no when it doesn't fit. More importantly, she does not feel guilty for refusing, because she understands that healthy boundaries are not selfishness, but the foundation for balance and mutual respect. In love, some women believe that the more they give, the more they sacrifice, the more they can hold on to a man. But in reality, men are attracted to women who can protect themselves. When she dares to say no to what is unsuitable, toxic relationships, excessive control, unreasonable demands, she shows that she knows her worth. And this does not push men away. On the contrary, it makes them respect and want to be more worthy. Jung emphasized that an individual only truly matures when they face the shadow, those parts repressed in the unconscious. For women, the shadow is sometimes suppressed anger, the need for rest, the longing to be heard. If we deny these, we will try to please everyone, living as the good angel, but full of resentment inside. Only when we accept that we too have needs, too have the right to limits, do we dare to set boundaries calmly. Clarity in boundaries is like a garden with a fence. The fence is not to drive people away, but to protect the life inside so it can be nurtured. A strong woman is the same. She still loves, still gives, but within healthy limits. It is this fence that keeps her love pure, not mixed with resentment or excessive sacrifice. A man once shared with our channel about his experience. In the past, he dated a woman who always agreed with everything he wanted. At first he liked it, but over time he felt suffocated. He said he didn't know where her limits were, and didn't know who she really was. Only when he met a woman who dared to frankly say no to him did he realize. It turns out it is precisely that clarity that made me respect and want to commit. His words show that men may not say it, but they are always attracted to women who know how to protect themselves. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But when you become aware, you know what belongs to you and what must stop." Setting boundaries is one way of making the unconscious clear. Sometimes rejection is even a gift. When you say no to what does not fit, you make space for what fits better to enter. Like a house that cannot welcome new guests if it is already too crowded, your heart cannot receive healthy love if it is full of unworthy relationships. Boundaries help you clear out, let energy flow, and make space for true love. Of course, to set boundaries, you must learn to release guilt. This is the hardest part for women, because many were raised to always sacrifice, always comply. But remember, love cannot last if built on one-sided sacrifice. When you say no to what doesn't fit, you not only protect yourself, but also teach others how to love you properly. Clarity in boundaries makes a woman an independent being, not dissolved, and that very fact makes her more magnetic. Because men and the world around can sense, this is a woman with a strong inner backbone, not easily shaken. What do you think, in a sustainable relationship, how much comes from the love given, and how much from the boundaries you keep for yourself? Share your ratio in the comments. And if you believe that true love always goes hand in hand with respect, press like to spread this message. If inner peace is the foundation and authenticity is the door, then clear boundaries are the protective wall, keeping the house of your soul strong. And behind that wall, another miracle blooms. Intuition, the ability to see and sense hidden things that others often miss. Number 4, the ability to radiate. Others feel safe and touched at their core when near you. Have you ever met a woman, and within minutes you felt lighter, calmer, and words you rarely say just spilled out? She did not need to advise, did not need special gestures. Her mere presence created a field of energy that made you want to open up. This is the power of radiance, one of the clearest signs of strong feminine energy. This radiance does not come from power, fame, or what people usually use to impress. It comes from an inner life matured, from the peace and authenticity she has cultivated. Around her, people feel seen, heard, touched at their essence. Jung called this the expression of the archetype of the Great Mother, associated with nurturing and healing. A woman who carries this energy does not necessarily have to be a mother. She may be a friend, a colleague, a leader. But wherever she is, there is a sense of safety. A striking example is Princess Diana. Even within royal constraints, Diana radiated a special field of energy. She is remembered not just for her crown or gowns, but for her gentle eyes and the way she held the hands of those society shunned. At the height of HIV/AIDS fear, Diana shook hands with patients without hesitation, astonishing the world. Just one small act, but it radiated safety and touched people's humanity. Radiance cannot be faked. If a smile is just social politeness, people feel distant. But when it comes from a reconciled inner life, it instantly becomes an invisible bridge. Like Diana, her eyes, gestures, and presence all aligned with sincerity. That is why millions, from ordinary people to leaders, were touched standing near her. From Jung's perspective, radiant energy appears when a person has deeply connected with the self and is no longer bound by the persona. At that point, they become a center of balance, not only for themselves, but also for the collective. A woman with this energy is like the sunrise. Without strain, her presence lights the space, so those still in the dark can find direction. I once heard a friend describe a tough period when his team argued constantly. Yet there was a woman in the group, not the leader, no high position, but whenever she spoke, the room calmed. She didn't talk much, only gently summarized, found common ground, asked questions that made people reflect. After meetings, everyone admitted her presence kept them from going too far. This is the invisible influence, not imposing, not fighting, yet guiding. In love, men are particularly sensitive to this energy. Some women do nothing flashy, yet men cannot leave, because with them he feels ease, as if coming home. A man may go out seeking glory, but when he returns, what he craves is a place where he can be touched at his essence without effort. And the woman with radiant energy gives him just that. Radiant power also transforms workplaces. A female leader with this energy does not need to shout or control, yet staff work effectively because they feel trusted and safe to create. Instead of fear, they are encouraged. Instead of competition, they seek collaboration. This is the strength that sustains groups, because healthy energy always spreads faster than pressure and fear. Jung emphasized, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown." When a woman reaches this radiance, she does not need to solve others' problems. Her matured energy naturally eases them. Radiance does not appear in a day, but is the result of a long journey. Keeping inner peace, living authentically, setting clear boundaries. Each step clears another layer of energy, so when she arrives, the atmosphere changes. It is no coincidence that some people walk in and create tension, while others make everything lighter. That is not luck, but the inner energy they has cultivated into a strong magnetic field. Ask yourself, do you make others feel relaxed near you, or do they tense up? Do you create space for them to open, or do they close? The answer shows where your energy stands. Radiance does not come from complex skills, but from small habits practiced daily. Spending a few minutes listening without interrupting, smiling only when you mean it, or being fully present in conversation instead of half listening while scrolling your phone. These small acts, repeated, gradually form a safe field around you, and then you will see, your presence alone heals and inspires. Number 5. Spiritual independence, not bound by outside recognition. The interesting thing is, when a woman can radiate safety to others, she also realizes an important truth. She does not need recognition to exist. If radiance makes others come closer, independence allows her not to depend on who stays. Have you ever posted a photo online, then nervously waited for likes and comments? You may tell yourself it's just for fun, but if no one reacts, a corner of you feels disappointed. This isn't wrong, but it reveals dependence. Your worth is hung on outside nods or looks. Carl Jung emphasized that individuation, the process of becoming oneself, only happens when we dare to leave society's gaze. A woman with strong feminine energy has taken this step. She doesn't need praise to feel enough, doesn't need a crowd's cheers to trust her choices. Behavioral psychology once pointed out the phenomenon of the social validation loop. The brain releases dopamine whenever positive feedback comes, like an instant reward. But the paradox is, the more dependent on this loop, the more emptiness grows. The spiritually independent woman has learned to step out. She can post a photo without counting likes, make decisions without everyone's agreement, and most importantly, live by the values she chooses, not those imposed by others. Picture a bird flying in the vast sky. If it always looked down to see how people gaze at it, it would never spread its wings. Only when it looks up to the endless horizon does it realize the sky has always been its own. The spiritually independent woman is like that. Not bound by recognition, she is freer, flies higher, shines brighter. I once knew a girl with the habit of dining alone every weekend. Friends teased, "Aren't you afraid people will think you're lonely?" She just smiled. I enjoy meals my way. Another time she traveled alone, sitting at a roadside cafe writing in her journal. When she recounted it, her eyes sparkled as if from a wondrous adventure. What impressed me was not that she did something unusual, but that her fulfillment did not depend on anyone's gaze. In love, independence shows even clearer strength. A woman does not depend on a man's compliments to feel beautiful, does not wait for shallow attention to prove she is worthy. She knows what she has, nurtures joy within, and because of that, her presence becomes rare magnetism. Men may be attracted to looks, but what binds them long-term is this steadiness. Knowing she doesn't need him to exist makes him long all the more to stay. Inner freedom also keeps her strong in big storms. When work fails, when someone leaves, she may grieve, but does not collapse. Because her worth was never tied to a title or relationship. She is like a tree with roots deep in the earth. Storms may strip leaves, break branches, but the roots keep her standing. And this makes her stronger over time. Jung once wrote, "As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being." The woman with spiritual independence embodies this. She finds her flame in the self, and thus is no longer swept away by waves of praise and blame. Interestingly, independence does not isolate her. On the contrary, it helps her build healthier relationships, because when she doesn't need anyone to prove her value, she comes to others freely, without demands, without clinging. This is the foundation for real connections in friendship, love, work, not hidden exchanges. You can start cultivating independence with small steps. Try a day without checking social media. Listen to what you want instead of asking others what they think. Or write 3 things you are proud of that aren't tied to achievements or praise. Repeated, these build a solid inner pillar from which free and strong feminine energy arises. If you feel you've traded too much for approval, take this moment as a gentle reminder. You need no certificate to have worth. Try leaving the word freedom in the comments as a signal to yourself that from today you choose to anchor in your true self, not others' eyes. And if independence helps her stand firm on her own feet, then from that base she can give a precious gift, nurturing, making others feel supported without losing herself. Number 6, nurturing, the ability to make others feel supported. There are moments in life when we don't need advice, don't need anyone to solve things, but only a place to lean, a gentle presence reminding us we're not alone. A woman with strong feminine energy is the embodiment of that. With her, others can shed defenses, speak secrets, or simply sit in warm silence. This is the power of nurturing, the ability to support with timely, fitting love. Importantly, nurturing is not unconditional sacrifice. The nurturing woman does not carry all pain, nor make herself the pillar to exhaustion. She gives a balanced energy, listening when needed, encouraging when needed, silent when needed. Nurturing is not doing for others, but creating space where they can find their own strength. Carl Jung noted that the archetype of the mother in the collective unconscious is not only biological, but symbolizes spiritual nurturing, providing safety for growth, not control or possession. A woman connected with this archetype radiates energy that feels like a home to return to. Nurturing appears in the smallest acts. Picture a woman seeing her friend after a rough day. Instead of advice, she cooks a meal, places hot tea, and listens. No pushing, no judgment. Support often lies not in grand actions, but in presence. That's the difference between burdensome care and nurturing born of love. In love, men feel this deeply. They may admire sharpness, be drawn to allure, but what bonds them long-term is the sense of being nurtured. When a man stumbles, what he needs is not blame, but a safe space to rest and rise again. The nurturing woman doesn't make him small, but reminds him he has a place to return. Nurturing is not pampering. Pampering makes people dependent. Nurturing helps them grow. The nurturing woman knows how to give without becoming a victim. She can hold someone crying, but also encourage, "I believe you can get through." She supports not for others to forever rely, but so they walk stronger. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Applied to nurturing, this means a woman cannot erase others' darkness, but she can create a space safe and loving enough for them to face it. That is true nurturing. Think of a young sapling swaying in the wind. If you hold it forever, it will never root. But if you shield it just enough, water it, wait patiently, one day it will stand tall. The nurturing woman is like that. Not living for others, but supporting enough for them to find their feet. I remember a friend grieving after a breakup. Everyone told her, "Move on, find someone new." But another woman did the opposite. She sat beside her, listened to tears, let the pain be acknowledged. "You have the right to be sad," she said, "and I'll be here if you want to share more." Months later, that friend healed faster than expected. Not because someone made me strong, but because I had a place to hurt without judgment. This shows nurturing power. What makes nurturing a sign of strong feminine energy is, it does not erase herself. The nurturing woman knows her limits. She knows if she is drained, her love turns forced. So before giving, she cares for herself, resting when needed, recharging when tired. This self-nurture keeps her love pure and makes others feel truly supported. Nurturing begins not with big acts, but with little things. Listening without cutting in. Asking, "Are you really okay today?" Or simply sitting quietly with someone unwilling to speak. Allowing yourself to be present, not to fix, but to support. Gradually you realize your gentleness alone heals. The nurturing woman is not flawless, nor someone who gives while forgetting herself. She balances giving and keeping, accompanying and letting others rise alone. That is why, with her, people feel they have a place to return, where no acting, no fake strength is needed, where they can just be themselves. And this is one of the clearest hidden signs of strong feminine energy. A woman with strong feminine energy does not need to prove anything to the world, for her very presence is proof. Her magnetism comes not from external glamour, but from the quiet cultivation within, peace in storms, authenticity behind masks, firm boundaries, radiant influence, spiritual independence, and a nurturing heart. All converge into a rare life frequency, where she need not compete, yet others stay, need not seek, yet naturally attracts. And if you've ever wondered, what creates that unforgettable magnetism? The answer lies in living fully as your true self, no longer led by others' eyes. When a woman returns to herself, she not only transforms her own life, but silently moves the world around her. If this video touched you and reminded you of the journey of becoming a peaceful yet magnetic woman, share it with those you love, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. This journey is not to become someone else, but to rediscover your own unique feminine power, the one that has always been there, waiting to be awakened.